Welcome to today's screencast. We are going to go through easybib.com. So if you're not already there, go ahead and type www.easybib.com as I've done here. This is going to be our citation generator that we use. This is truly an easy way to create your works cited page. So make sure that you do this correctly because this is extremely important for your paper. So what I've done now is, you know what? I'm going to actually delete this before we get started. So once you go on easybib.com, this should be the home page that you see right in front of you. Now if you notice, you have MLA, which is great because that's what we use for our class, and then there's APA in Chicago. EasyBib does not charge for citations for MLA, but it does charge for the other formats. So we are actually in luck. We also notice that we have website citations here. So if you want to cite a website, you can click website. Then if you have a book, you can click there, a newspaper, journal, database, and so on. What if you have a source that does not follow into these 5 categories? Well, we have an option right here that says all 59 options. Click on that and you will see all the different types of sources that you can cite. You can have an email. Yes, you can cite an email, a cartoon even. You can do a federal bill, a federal report, maps and charts, software, scholarly projects. All of these options are available for you. For today's purposes, I have already pulled up an article that we are going to use. A lot of my examples have been about juveniles and life sentencing. So this is the same one. Juvenile life sentences may be revisited. This is from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. So if we go back to EasyBib, what do you think it'll be? Will it be a website? Okay, we found it on a website, but that's not our source. Is it a book? No. A newspaper, a journal, a database? If you said newspaper, you were correct. The Post-Gazette is a newspaper. So once we get here, this is where people forget this. You're going to have to go over here and click on manual entry because we are going to insert every single information in ourselves. Scroll a little bit lower so you guys can see. Now, we're going to have to ask ourselves, is this in print? Do I have it in my hand as a newspaper print? I do not. Was this found online? What about an online database? Now, if you're confused what they're asking for in terms of online and online database, they have this great assistance with help. You can click on that and then scroll over to see what the difference is. So in online, it says, choose this if the newspaper article is found from a website or an online newspaper. Okay, then what's an online database? It says, choose this if the newspaper article is found from an online database. So I just found it online, so we're going to use this. Source, was it published directly online or was it originally in print? Now if I go back to this link, I can see right here that it was published July 4th, 2012 at 12:20 a.m. Now if it was at 12:20 a.m., do you think it'll be in print or online? Okay, it was actually directly online. So then we go into source type. Is it a newspaper article? Is it an editorial found in a newspaper? Or is it a review found in a newspaper? Now, if it was an editorial or a review, you would see that somewhere on this page. Okay, and I've already looked through it and I know that it is not. So let's go back to EasyBib, and we know it's just a newspaper article. All right, what about the article title? Anybody remember it? It was juvenile life sentences may be revisited. All right, so we just type that in as is. Okay, again, if you have any times where you're stuck on anything, just take your cursor over the box and it shall tell you right here. Okay, then it says right here, generally capitalize the first letter of every principal word. See capitalization rules. So it takes us to the link. Capitalize all principal words as well as the first word and the last word in the title. So capitalize the following: nouns, monkey, in A Curious Monkey, our, in Days of Our Lives, verbs and adjectives, and it has all of this information for you right here. So if you don't know what to capitalize and what not to capitalize, the help button will help you out with that as well. So what about the author? Okay, there was one author and her name was Mariah, and I don't remember her last name. So we can go back, and I'm going to actually highlight this and use my keyboard keys to copy and paste that into the slot so I make sure that it's correctly spelled. Now if there was another author, I can click this button to add another contributor. If there's another, you can just keep going. But since there's only one, I'm going to remove that for now. So then we go and look at the site newspaper title. Again, you can go directly back there, use your command keys to copy and paste it. Then we do the publisher and sponsor. A lot of people get confused as to what a publisher sponsor is, so I'm going to click the help button. So who is the publisher or sponsor of the website if known? If published directly online, this can even be similar to or the same as the website name. For example, Cable News Network is the publisher of CNN, right? Okay, so let's go back to the website. And we know it's the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, but online it's called the Post-Gazette, and that's going to be the publisher. So I'm actually going to copy this, paste it right here. The next one, URL. The URL is asking for a link. Is the link necessary? Let's look over here. The URL is optional in MLA 7, which is the format that we're currently in. However, we recommend including it. See URL rules. Okay, look on the bottom here, this note. MLA 7 says to leave out the URL unless the source cannot be located without it, or if your instructor requires it. Here's what I'm going to require. If you have an article or a source that does not have an author, that has a very generic title, and that would, if I searched it in Google, I would come up with many different versions, and I would have to fish through that. That is when you're going to need to add that URL in there. However, if you have an author, if you have a source where it's easy to find like we have here, like I can easily go to Google and plug in Juvenile Life Sentences May Be Revisited by Mariah Ballingett, or I can even put the title and just put Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and this article is going to come out. I don't need the URL code. Okay, so the URL is only there if I can't find it directly or easily using any search engine. Alright, so let's look at when it was electronically published. Again, July 4th, 2012. So let's go back here. July 4th, 2012. Then date accessed. I'm going to go with today's date and do that. Now, this is all complete. Do not forget to click Create Citation. Once we click that button, we are going to see right here that a citation has been added. Okay, so it's right here. Do not copy and paste this onto your document. It's easier than that. Okay, so once we scroll down, I have this in here. If I wanted to create or add another one, I can just go right up here, say it's a book, click manual entry, and just add everything to this if I wanted to. If I'm done with everything, I can go back to this page and come down here to bibliography and say, do I want to save for later? Let's say I'm not done with my research. I'm going to save for later so I can come back to it. Do I want to save it as a Google Doc? We all know what Google Doc is. So if I save it as a Google Doc, I'm going to be able to open it later. Or you can just click Print as Word Document. I'm going to say Save as Google Doc. Now when you do this, the great thing about EasyBib is it formats everything for you. So we're going to go to Google Docs, and it has correctly put in works cited as it should be right there. It's not bolded because we don't want it to be bolded. It's not underlined. We don't need it to be underlined. Then we have that first one right here, all created. Everything's done and perfectly formatted as it should be. All right, so I'm going to close out of that because it's not necessary for us to keep that open anymore. But this is where you're going to do all of your generating for your citations. If you have any questions as to how to use this or you get stuck somewhere, ask me. You can always email me, you can tweet me, you can text me, you can find me wherever you need. So go ahead and work on this. You do have an assignment. Where did I put it? It's right here. You can open it up from the class website. It's called the Works Cited Page Assignment. I have put together one sheet of just information. It'll tell you where everything is. So for example, source number 1 is a newspaper article from the Grand Rapids Press from the date here, written by author here, and it's in section A on page 2 and continued on page 11. And it has the article title. So what you're going to want to do is go ahead and open Google Docs, or you can do it on Microsoft Word, and I want you to create a works cited page for 1, 2, 3, and 4. Please don't forget that you have this bottom portion here where you need to do some in-text citations and do them correctly. So you can get working on that, and this will be your entrance pass to class tomorrow. Good luck, and let me know if you have any questions.